Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself today. Um, it looks like today I'm having the same issue as Prof. I think Prof's lighting is even better today than mine.
Mine is intentional. Like if I put, if I uh
Close the
open
blinds.
the
Oh, okay.
blind, if I open them rather, it will flood in here now.
Right,
You won't
right,
be
right.
seeing. So it's okay.
Yeah, one of my
Um,
studio lights went out just some
oh,
few minutes
maybe
before we I came on, so
that makes sense.
but hey, show goes on.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. I just want to welcome everybody to today's Analyze This. We are going to continue from where we left off the other time. We actually are going to, again, as I always say on this platform, we always want to find solutions to the problems. We don't just want to talk about the problems and not offer suggestions. So we're going to offer some suggestions today. And I, I'd also want us to talk a little bit about a video I saw of Katechi Afrifa. We'll talk about that. I'm not going to play the videos. I told you these videos are very emotional, so I don't want us to go to the other ends of our emotions. So we're not going to play the video, but I'll talk about it. Those who saw it or those who want to see it can go on social media. They can go on YouTube and go look for that video. But before we zoom in to start anything, as the song playing in the background said, "Land of our birth, we pledge to thee our love and toil in the years to be, and when we are grown and take our place as men and women with our race." This is a solemn pledge, and I believe most of us learned this in school. It became one of my favorite songs a couple of years back, and every time I sing that song, it gives me hope about our country, it gives me hope about our continent. That is why I decided to play that portion this morning. But before we jump on, I'd want to reiterate the fact that on this platform, we don't entertain insults, um, because we find solutions to problems on this platform, and insults don't offer solutions. They only flare up emotions. And so we don't entertain insults on this platform. However, we entertain divert opinions and differences. You can disagree with whatever we present on here. We are more than happy to judge you when you have a divergent opinion and you want us to talk about it. We don't shy away. As a matter of fact, that's what we entertain on this platform. We want people with different opinions to submit to their opinions because we don't have it all. So we may not see it from the angle you're seeing it. So when you present that angle, then we would have the opportunity to look at it from that angle and also talk from that angle or judge or from all angles. That is the only way we can arrive at a very sensible solution, um, a progressive one as such. Um, Again, as we always say, creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by the content, by the educated mind. uh, Creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. So educate yourself, enlighten yourself, and create and invent. Without much ado, I'd want Prof to introduce himself, and then we would, and his submissions, and then we would start with the program.
Yeah, as usual, my name is Kojoy Wafimpon, and I'm very glad to be here. Africa is bedeviled with a whole host of issues, but the most important issue of our time is leadership, because it is from leadership that everything else emanates. Leadership is what organizes and dispenses. So, in order to really, really move Africa forward, it is a case that should be made about the proper kind of leadership. And I remember you saying that there is nothing called bad leader. It's either you are a leader or you are not. And I fully, 100% agree with you, because the fact that you are in a position doesn't make you a leader. So it's either you are up to the task or you are not up to the task. And if you are not up to the task, please get out of the way, because you're only clogging the traffic. And we don't have the time for anybody to just sit there and do nothing. That's my take.
Alrighty, it's either you're a leader or you're not. So that is Prof right there. So one of the things I want us to start with was a video I saw of Katachi urging the Ghanaian youth to pick up weapons, cutleries, guns, whatever weapon they can find, to go to the mining sites and confront the people at the mining sites. You see, sometimes in the midst, that is why leadership, I really appreciate the fact that Prof made mention of leadership. Leadership is very, very vital and crucial in every situation. How you solve problems is very important. That is why emotional intelligence is needed. It's very much needed. If you would want to exhibit your leadership gifts, emotional intelligence is very, very much needed and very much important. So let's look at it from this angle. Human life is so valuable. As you pick up weapons and go to these sites, you don't know what they also have in store for you. Because I am well informed that most of these mining areas are not just mining areas, but they also have weapons. They have guns and stuff like that, you know? So I love what Dr. King said. He said, when violence begets violence, there is no victor, no vanquished. So we don't want anybody to lose his or her life over this. There are amicable ways of solving these problems. I know sometimes it might take longer. The process might not be as we want it, but it'll give us an amicable solution, you know? So I want to use this opportunity to plead with the youth. We also have a call for the youth on today's discussion, but not to pick up arms and weapons to go to the field. We want the youth not to desist from that. In other words, weapons going to the field of mining can result in the loss of life. And who knows whose life is going to be lost? Probably that's going to be the next leadership we're looking for. So please, I know he spoke out of emotions, he spoke out of anger, and it angers all of us. It angers all of us. It's pathetic. We want solutions now, not tomorrow. We want people to act now, but let us act right. let us act right, because it is important that we don't react and make a mess, and then now we would have to start from behind to fix the mess we have created to fix their mess. Even though you may get the attention immediately, the process and the resources that goes into fixing the mess on both sides is going to be enormous. And we know sometimes when you look at it from that perspective, it feels like if you have any weapons, you should be able to mobilize and go there and fight and use force. But that is not the solution. I know most people might disagree, but my question is, do you know whose life you're going to lose? It might be that leadership Africa needs. It might be that leadership your community needs. And come to think about it, we don't even have a lot of um, people within our community or within the country, let me put it that way, who are able to speak to issues boldly, like probably Okatache is doing, but again, resorting to violence is not going to help. I know he didn't say go and fight them. He said pick up your weapons and go there. But if you have weapons, what will result into? If you have weapons and somebody comes at you with a weapon, what is it going to happen? So please let us desist from that. Instead, I would want to urge the youth to petition their kings, if possible, what you call it, demonstrate, peaceful demonstration. Go to your palaces. Go and demonstrate at the palace footsteps. Go there in massive numbers. You can write a petition to the king, or you can go and submit a committee to discuss these issues with the king. We need solutions now. We don't need chaos. So I want the youth, instead of marching to the mining fields, march to the palaces of your kings. Put yourself together in large numbers and go there. Let them understand. Let them know how angry you are. There's nothing wrong in being angry. There's nothing wrong in being angry. But what you do with your anger is what the problem is. So even though we are angry, even though we are pissed off at what is going on, let us contain our emotions and do the right thing. Because we can do the right thing. And like I said, the process might take longer, but it's better to start doing the right thing, take a longer time to fix it than losing lives and resources. Because when you resort into violence, it's not going to be just lives, properties, resources are going to be lost. And so if it's going to take X amount of resources to fix the mess, now it's going to take ×2 to fix the mess. So please, I want to plead with the youth to defy that call. It's not going to help anybody. We don't live in the animal kingdom. We live in a human society where we can solve issues amicably. We can resort to the principle of dialogue. So I want us to desist from that call. It is not going to help anybody. All right, Prof, if you have something to add to that.
Well, that what you are saying is the main reason why leadership is critical. The only reason why Okatachi and other people have resorted to this, uh, what do we call it, vigilante or citizen arrest scheme is because no matter how many times people have called and complained, it seems the people with the leverage to actually do something about the menace are the very same people who are perpetrating the crimes. So it is doubly impossible for these things to be uh, out uprooted. And I place the blame squarely at the president. You see, I've said this and I'll continue to say it. Whenever you are in doubt, you go back to our idioms, our cultural references, and you find out that our forefathers were not dumb. They were very civilized. It is said, Abuano, a profanity. The animal corrodes or stinks from the head. There was a professor who was actually tasked with uprooting Galamsey. He wrote a whole thesis or whatever they call it on the issues at stake that is making it impossible to uproot this canker. He named names. And because he named names, he was not, excuse my language, fooling around. What did they do to him? The presidency took the paper on Galamsey, threw it to the dogs, and said the guy was being too.
You're talking about Professor Frimpong, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what else that our president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is excellent. He has made commentaries to the point that he was going to stake his presidency on this issue of Galamsey. I'm sorry to admit that it was he gave a false hope. Because if after that, the man that you have tasked, you have appointed to actually do the job brings you recommendations to be tallied and maybe used to approach the minutes, you just don't throw it away and sort of dismiss the man flippantly. So for people like Okatechi to come into the fray, it is the lack of leadership on the issue that brings these things to bear. And it got to a point where I refused to watch any video on Galamsey because the very people who are in the business of doing this were filming themselves and posting themselves online, bragging about what they are doing. Okay? The small fish, I'm not even talking about the big fish. You remember I sent you a video in which a policeman was trying to catch one of these boys, and the boy said, "You come here every day, we give you money. So you have no right to come here." And they were about to beat up the policeman. And all these people in the chain of command, they are the smaller fish. And if the smaller fish in the pond feels the audacity to film himself doing wrong, what does that tell you? He has the backing of much, much bigger fish. Nobody is saying if there is gold in our country, it should not be mined. But there is a better way of mining. And 3 days ago, I watched a video of somebody who happens to know what he is doing. He's telling us the whole system is flawed from the acquisition and from the paperwork that we give to these people. And that thing cannot be changed by Okatechi or by any individual person who wants to see changes executed. That's why I am always coming back to leadership, 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 leadership. The laws as they are written and the processes that we have to go through in order to be able to mine, the functions of the Mineral Commission, the Forestry Commission, the Lands Commission, all the water bodies, whatever commissions that we have layers upon layers of bureaucrats that are supposed to oversee how things are done in our country. If they are not functioning, if the protocols are not in place, we are just talking, me and
Which
you.
they are not. They are not functioning.
Exactly. So that is why we create the room for people like Okateki. You remember 2 years ago, Odike was so mad at this issue and he started talking and talking. Where did that lead us to? Nowhere. It led us nowhere because no matter how much he talks, he doesn't have the leverage or even the
Right.
power to change anything. Okatechie can go to how many Galamsey sites in a day? What if they are doing the job in the night? He cannot. And how many Okatechie do we have? Unless we have a million of Okatechie on an everyday basis, having the resources to do the job that he's doing, he will give up. I give him a maximum of 6 months. He will give up.
Yeah, but
He
even
was
if we
even
have a million Okatachis, as you said, leadership, when these people are arrested, are they prosecuted? If they're prosecuted, what else are they doing about those who are on the field? You know, which laws are they putting in place? What are the supervisory roles of the bodies you made mention of? So, yes, we need the Okatachis to bring the awareness, but we need leadership to act.
exactly, exactly, and that's why I don't really have a lot of hope because as far as I'm concerned, we've already bypassed the critical juncture at which we should have arrested this issue. If your sea is being inundated to the point whereby the whole coastal plain looks like a mud flat, the critical point has already been passed. You can ask any biologist and they will tell you. And the sad part is that this minister of or whatever that was in parliament talking about, oh, you destroyed more water bodies than we are doing. He's supposed to be what?
Actually, the less said about those people, the better on this platform.
Yeah. But we need to address that because in one of my research, I found out that one of those leaders is supposed, or so-called leaders, is supposed to be an environmentalist. It is
Yeah.
on his profile,
Mm-hmm.
environmentalist, really, an environmentalist. And this is your answer to a query concerning the devastation that we are causing to our environment. That's your answer. That you did worse than we did. So until there is leadership, Nana, the little that I know, I'm only a first degree holder in natural resources management. But the little that I know, if I understand what I was taught and the readings and the research I've done myself as an individual, we already passed the critical point
So you
of,
mean nothing can be done about it,
oh, a lot can be done about it, but we will never go back to what we used to have.
even with constant effort to return to?
Nana, that was what I was trying to explain the last time we had a conversation on this. Ecosystems take eons of time to build up, and there is an intricate web, complex dependencies upon complex dependencies just in the food chain web of any ecosystem. Let me give you an example. There are fungi, bacterial, planktons, and other plants within our water bodies that depend on sunlight being able to penetrate, let's say 10 feet or let's say 5 feet into our water body. Now, for sunlight to penetrate, for them to start the process of photosynthesis that hydrate or brings oxygen, submerge oxygen, not oxygen on the surface of the
Right.
water or whatever. What oxygen within the water body, there has to be a certain level of clearness for those microorganisms and plant flora to exist within our water body. Look at how our rivers. I have not
So,
even come to.
uh,
You go ahead.
so what if the um dilution is stopped to clear out the mud? Is this still going to be, would it be the first step to be able to
It
allow
will.
the sunlight to
It will.
penetrate the
It will be the
waters?
first step. It will be the first step. But how do you guarantee that you have not caused an extinction of these microorganisms and then the plant species that are supposed to be within the water body? Nature is very resilient, but sometimes it takes millions of years for those to come back, and some never come back. And like I said, there is an intricate web of interdependencies within each ecosystem. So when you remove only one, there
It
can
has a
be a
chain
cascade
effect.
effect on all the other organisms within the ecosystem. And there was a maxim in school that said that when the last tree dies, the last human being dies.
Yeah,
Whatever is happening in our water bodies, apart from the fact that drinking water and water for bathing and whatnot, which is the physical aspect of what we see, and that should have informed us that what we are doing is wrong. When you go through all these webs of codependency, it comes back to the human being. You see, they are using arsenic, they are using mercury, this is what they do. It will go into the plant will be ingested by the very small fishes. And because the food chain is progressive, anytime the bigger fish eat the smaller fish, mercury
it,
does not
it-
get it
they got
starts
infected too.
build up. And these big or these metallic compounds have an ability to change the genetic mutation factors of every organism. It will build up, it will come to the estuaries, it will get into the sea. The water is already in the sea. You saw that in
Right.
some of the videos. Okay. And then what about the local economic activities of our fishermen? What are we doing about that? What do we know of its impact downstream? I don't even want to get to that point yet because biologically we are going to go fish these waters, bring these fishes. We don't check to see the level of mercury in most of our foods, and we will ingest them. We will ingest those.
Hi.
So the issue of you saying that the brain has levels of understanding, I'm beginning to understand all these things because if somebody is a biologist, if somebody is an ecologist, if somebody is an ecosystem specialist, or this guy calling himself an environmentalist, he should have a deeper understanding of what is going on than just the logger who feels that they are cutting off the trees and my livelihood is at stake.
So he should have even been in tears over
That is
what's
what I'm
going on
talking
rather than
about. And
pointing
that
an
and that
accusing
and
finger.
that's what made me emotional. And it was really, really on point that last week he said we should not approach this issue emotionally, because the moment I found out that he was an environmentalist, I wanted to find out who gave him the degree and if he
Yeah.
is worth the name.
I mean, emotions, yes, we're human beings, so we definitely gonna go through that um emotional roller coaster. But the most important thing is that does not solve problems. You need clear thinking minds to solve problems. So, and as I said, we are on this platform to contribute our 2 cents of solutions to the problem. So we're not just going to be here and bash people and not offer any solutions. So before we continue, I just want to say those on Facebook, I posted the link. So if you have any questions, you can put it up and we should be able to read them and discuss them. We have Lawrence Jesse. I hope I'm right. Lawrence Jesse on the screen. You're welcome, Lawrence. I'm pretty sure you've heard a little bit of what we're talking about. Fighting the Galamsey uh endemic in Ghana. So you can contribute your 2 cents to the discussion. The floor is yours, sir. I think you are muted, so you
He
may
said
want
he
to
was
unmute.
having network challenges.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I think his should be good now. So if he unmutes himself, because I see mute here, if he unmutes himself, he should be able to talk. Okay. Please work on that, and if you're able to take care of that anytime, you can come in and make your submissions. Um, with that being said, again, I just want to are you good now? Okay. All right. With that being said, if you have any questions or any contributions, you can type them in the comment section and we would do justice to that. I just want to reiterate the fact that please, yes, Akatachi has every reason to call for the youth to pick up arms and what have you to go to. I mean, you can give a slew of excuses, but that, to my understanding, is not the right thing to do. Instead, let the youth rise up.
Okay.
You good? Instead, let the youth rise up, march to the kings. For now, excuse me. It looks as if the politicians, they've made us aware, or they've informed us through their actions or inactions that they're not interested in solving the problem. So now we want to petition the kings, the owners of the land. So the youth, we want to call on the youth to do a peaceful march to the palaces, to do a peaceful march to the palace of your kings, and petition the kings to make a concerted effort to do something about this Galamsey going on. And I know the other time, Prof, you made mention of the fact that sometimes they sideline them when they seem not to fall in line with the activities of the government. Developmental issues are delayed and what have you. I want to state on this platform, if any king is sidelined, look, the kings have they have the power, they have the authority to generate enough resources, enough revenue from their constituencies or their place of domain to be able to develop their places of domain. And if any king wants ideas, if any king wants to sit down with us on this platform, we can help. We don't have the money, so please don't come to us asking for money. We don't have the money, but we can bring brains together for us to get these things done within your communities without the help of the government. If they decide not to allocate whatever funds to your constituency just because you are not doing what they want you to do. At the end of the day, you have to understand that the land is yours. The land is for your ancestors, and you are a custodian, keeping the land in trust for posterity. So what are you going to hand over to the next generation? If you look on unconcerned for this to be destroyed, the land to be destroyed, the water bodies to be destroyed, what are you going to hand over to the next generation? And like I said last week, it was said of David that he has served his generation and now he can rest in peace with his fathers. Can it be said of you as a king? Can that be said of you as a king? That you have served your generation and now you can rest in peace with your fathers? It can only be said of you if you are able to do what is right for your generation. And looking on unconcerned, when your water bodies and your farmlands are being destroyed, what legacy are you going to bequeath to the next generation? So we want the youth, rise up. Yes, the call to rise up, it's now, it's imminent. March to your kings, march to the palaces. Do a walk in your town. Put pressure on the kings. Put pressure on people who matter within your communities. And let us find an amicable solution to this problem. So, Prof even made mention of supervision, which we don't have. Because if the land commission, the mineral, whatever, and all these commissions are doing their job properly, or if they're doing their job, we wouldn't have gotten to this craziness. It is because nobody is working. None of these commissions are working. None of them. Because you cannot tell me you're working when you have these results. You know, there are, let me take you back to where we live. I used to work with an institution. And when we were putting up some of our new buildings, almost every week we have inspections done. You have the county fire will come and inspect all the fire codes of your building. They will inspect all the safety codes of your building. When they leave, electricity company will come, inspect all your electricity codes and make sure you have, if one of them is missing, you are not going to continue your building. Even if it's just a knot that needs to be tighten that. And you could do it right in front of him. You're not going to continue your building. You have to go back and fill a whole slew of forms. Go through certain processes, unpleasant processes you don't even want to go through before you continue your building. What am I
So this
saying?
forces you to do the right thing from the get-go.
Right. Because nobody wants to go through that process. The paperwork, the meetings, the explanations, the data, whatever you need to collect and all that. You don't want to go through that. So there is an internal inspection done by the company itself. The company also has its fire code, inspectors. It has its safety code inspectors by the company. So they come around and make sure if something is going wrong, we fix it there and then before the county inspectors come in. Because when they come in and they find something wrong, that's hell. You know, so it clearly tells us that the whatever commission, the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources, whatever, they've all failed. They're not working. These are whitewashed institutions. They are not working. That is why we want to plead with the kings. You go to the National House of Chiefs or whatever. I hate to call them chiefs because the concept of calling them chiefs was a demeaning concept. That is why I don't like using the word chiefs for them, because they are kings. You know, so the National House of Chiefs, they have them all over. Please, put yourselves together. Put pressure on whoever is supposed to work. So now the Okatachi's call, if it comes from the king will have to put certain measures in place. Okay? And even that it's not going to be the youth. It's going to be the law enforcement agencies who are going to act on behalf of the people at the request of the king, because they have been trained to do so. So please, the youth, we want you to rise up. We need you to rise up. Put pressure on your kings. Do a peaceful demonstration. Do a peaceful march to the palaces. Go to the palaces with your stools and chairs and go sit there at the entrance in your massive numbers. That will force the king to come out and listen to you. Let us use this non-violent means of solving this problem, because we need to rise up. Like Prof explained, it's going to hurt us. Some of these people are within their 70s, 50s, 60s, 80s, and they are soon to die and leave. So they really don't care about what happens after they're gone. But the youth, you have everything to stand up for the right thing to be done, because your life is ahead of you. So we want the youth to rise up and put pressure on your kings to make them do the right thing. We as an organization are also writing a petition to the kings and treating them to do the right thing, because that is the only way we can get this problem solved. Because I believe if the kings come together and they decide to pool resources together within their communities to solve some of these problems, even if the land commissioner of whatever, it's not going to work, I believe they have them within their constituencies. Don't they have, I stand to be corrected, Prof. Don't they have the commission for natural resources within the regions of Ghana?
They do. They do. The
Yeah,
whole
so
thing is
the
that
kings would have some relationship with these
there's
people.
the problem with Ghana is that we talk about decentralization, but everything is centralized. People go to Accra, pay for a license or whatever, and just come show it to the local authorities that I do have this license to mine this area of land. That's about it.
Right. So
That is
it
about it.
is the onus lies on the local authorities to make sure these people are doing what is right, because that is your area of operation. You
Well,
know, because you don't expect somebody to come from Accra to inspect some mining area in whatever, some village down there. So that is where I believe the influence of the kings will work here, because the kings will always troop into the offices of the regional whatever land on what I don't even know their names. Always go to their offices and make sure these people are working because they are being paid every month. So if they are not working, the king can use his influence to make them work. You see, so I believe that one of the ways we can help solve this problem is to push our kings to get up and be a
That's
part of this fight.
basically the only way, because if they refuse to actually support the what is going on, it will start. I really believe that. If they put in the request and they are consistent, they are together, it will start. It might take a longer time, but it
Yeah,
will
because
start.
I heard one king, and that's the one I know of. One king in the Ashanti region said it's this is going to happen over his dead body. And during his
Hmm.
time of reign, nobody stepped foot over there to mine anything. So that gives me the hope that the kings have the power, they have the authority to be able to help curb this problem. Because trust me, the people in government, they don't care.
They have shown by their actions that they do not care. If the Ashanti regional minister, regional chairman of the ruling party can be mentioned in uh, multiple reports, multiple TV and radio appearances that he owns companies that are actually mining in secluded forest reserves and nothing is done to him. And he's not the only one. Nana, it means they don't care.
Of
Nobody is
course.
going to convince me that they care.
Of
They don't
course.
care. And if uh, they don't care, somebody else has to be the one to care and to show that they do care. And
And it has to be the
so
custodian
far,
of the land.
yeah, the custodians of the land understand their what they are supposed to do. I am surprised it hasn't gotten to the point.
I don't think they understand. They know they have to do something, but they don't understand. Because from the explanation you gave, and I'm the least scientific person. When it comes to science, my brain is wired in a certain way that I hardly understand science. But the explanation you gave paints a vivid picture
No, you need
of
to
what is going
understand
on
that
and what will happen if we don't do anything about it.
I've not been practicing my uh, taught profession since 2002, and I could paint you a picture. So imagine somebody who has been educated as a forester or as a water body specialist and has been practicing for 20 years. I can assure you, if I bring any of my classmates from the Institute of Renewable Natural Resources in KNUST, who did either fisheries or forestry or wildlife management, within 20 minutes, he can make the dumbest person or the most uneducated person on the environment understand the stark reality that Ghana is facing today when it comes to Galamsey. So, for somebody who is at the ministerial level or somebody who is at the MP level, for somebody who is in the actual running of a government, not to understand the dangers that we face as a nation when it comes to the issue of Galamsey, now The
Well,
person is either benefiting from the malaise,
yeah.
or the person is just closing his eyes because he knows there's nothing he can do.
So I use the word they don't understand based on the article I read about the brain,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
says when you gain understanding, it kickstarts your creativity.
yeah,
In other words, you
uh,
cannot
uh,
understand and just sit on concern.
yeah.
It-
So they don't fully comprehend, they don't fully understand, or they are benefiting from the negativity, and so they don't care. Me personally, I believe they don't care.
yeah.
They do
Mm-hmm.
not care. That's what I believe, and that's why people like Okateche comes into play. Because with all the noise that Odike made, I thought something was going to be done.
I mean, I
So
like the name and shame he's doing and everything.
it
I
doesn't
like
it
what he's
doesn't
doing.
it doesn't really solve any problem unless there are consequences. Remember, I've said it repeatedly. Consequence
Right.
is
But
not a
some of these
coincidence.
people, the shame, the name and shame, it's part of their consequences. They don't want to be seen in that light. So if they have conscience, they will withdraw.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
what if
so
they don't have a conscience?
he needs the support we can all give him, but his call to action by the youth taking up arms, I don't agree and I
That
don't
that one
subscribe
is
to that.
that one is really misplaced,
You know,
and
even with
it
him
comes
going to the
out.
fields, it's
Yeah,
dangerous.
yeah, it comes out of
And
uh
I kind of
the,
get it. I mean, he's pissed off.
yeah.
I mean, you look at this. That is
Even
why I
even
told you
if
I don't even want to play any of the videos. Because if
yeah,
you look at
it
what's
can,
going on, it will well up your emotions and you're going to be pissed off.
yeah, it instigates people to do the wrong thing, and it is only for a flashy moment. And
Right.
this issue that we are talking about needs a sustained,
It's a
consistent.
generational thing.
Yes, and unless look, that's why I'm saying it has to come from leadership.
Right.
It has to come from how these licenses are given and controlled. You cannot just give the license to people and let them just go do whatever.
Yes. But so that's the people who are supposed to be controlling are the people who are not doing their work.
And
And
they
they
are
are sitting in
sitting
their
in
regional
their
offices
offices.
and not doing
Yes,
anything. So that is where I
yes.
think the Canes can come in. Can you
You-
imagine if Otunfo goes to the office of the natural, whatever they call themselves, go to the office and ask, hey, what are you guys doing about XYZ? Do you have
Why is
inspectors on
it
the field?
why is it that you are allowing people to destroy my land?
Right.
Look, Nana, you know me. I believe a lot more in our traditional systems than I believe in the so-called modern government
Even though I
system.
have a lot of problem with our traditional system, but I love them.
Yes, when it comes to leverage and respect for the authority of our kings and our queen, there is nothing like that where we come from. I am telling you, Otumfo came from South Africa, walked to Adum and said, it was unannounced. He just came. Nobody sells on my pavement. The next day, the pavements were clean. The KMA boss had been trying to tell them for years. He's been taking their staff, taking it to the KMA office, taking them to the police station. They were still sitting on the pavement. The
You know
Otumfo said,
why?
don't sell.
You know why? Yes, it has its leverage as your tone for its respect and everything. And then it also has this aspect of honesty.
Yes.
Anytime a leader, I'm not saying leadership, a leader is dishonest, it reflects in the community.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm gonna do a video on some businessmen who are talking about why Ghanaian employees are not honest, they steal, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do a special video on that. You know, it's very important that leadership be up and doing. And as Prof said, when leadership is up and doing, it the ripple effect is seen. It reflects in the society. It reflects within the community. So the Keynes, I want to plead with you again. We're pleading with you on this platform. Please rise up and do something. And if you're sidelined, as I said, and I'm not joking, if you need ideas, if you need how to develop your area without the government funds, come to us. We'll help you do that. I'm not joking. We will help you do that. Because you have some kind of authority, you have some kind of power to be able to do that. And even the Constitution gives you some kind of authority. So please, Kings, act now. So when posterity is writing the history of the land, they will pause at your name and say, this was a king who did what was right for his generation and generations to come. Prof, your final statements before we close the curtains.
Well, what I would like to say is this: we are at a very critical point in the life as a nation. I heard somebody saying that we should see it as a national crisis and not as a party or regional or whatever thing. The rains didn't come at the right time this year. There is a very real possibility of food shortage in the sub-region next year. We should not compound it with what we are doing to our land. These forests have been there since God's creation. We are destroying them at a rate we cannot replace them. Monocultured forests are not the same like the ones we do have. If you don't understand that, please do your research, because medicines, foods, whatever, it is through our research of the already existing forest and savanna regions that we create medicinal, pharmaceutical products and other, and we have not explored them yet. We are cutting them away, we are destroying them without having even studied them. And there are very different, better methods to actually take our goal. A guy mentioned go to Sierra Leone and see how they mine their diamonds. Go other places. Please, we pleading.
Well, I think the guy mentioned Sierra Leone, but I have some friends from Sierra Leone who are also facing something similar to that of Ghana, but theirs is not on a
It,
massive scale, though.
yes, there are better ways to mine, and there are very bad ways to mine. I'm saying let's learn. The gold is there, I understand, but we need to have a better approach to it, and that can only come from the national leadership. When we're talking to the chiefs, we are only asking them to stop what is going on right now. But for Ghana to maximize its gold deposit, leadership at the national level is needed. Thank you.
Leadership at the national level is needed. On this note, I would want to thank all of you for being a part of today's Analyze This as we judge on the um, endemic plague of Galamsey in Ghana. We want to find solutions to this problem, and we want to make sure we bequeath a good legacy for generations to come, to the next generation and for generations to come. So please, we want to thank you for the time you have invested in us today, that 1 hour. We really appreciate it. Make sure you share the video, send the message across, let it go far and wide to the places they are supposed to be. So we together will help salvage this canker and this plague going on in Ghana. My name is Nana Osei Bonsu Jr. and my co-hosts. Thank you and see you next week, same time. Be blessed. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.